Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Subpop Podcast. I'm Dani Moreno.
And I'm MK Sullivan. And in today's pre-run preview episode, we are going to be covering the Broken Arrow Ascent, formerly known as the VK, but is just an ascent because it's not quite a VK in the terms of technical definition, which I believe is something like 5K in distance and 1,000 meters of vert. And this is more than 5K in distance and just right about 1,000 feet or 1,000 meters of vert. So, yeah, Broken Arrow Ascent happening
Yeah,
Friday, June 20th.
yes. And this is the first of 3 episodes that you're diving into. So, welcome to our Broken Arrow series. So,
Yes.
start with this baby and then keep your eyes out as MK and our friend of the pod, Rachel Drake, preview the 46K. And then follow that up by coming back to the OG co host, myself and MK, the following day with the 23K. So, hope you guys are excited because we are giving you all the previews for your Freetrail Fantasy and just for being fans of the sport of this great big ol' weekend.
Yeah. And like Danny was saying, great big old weekend. It's always kind of a crazy, like huge trail festival in the US. But this year feels extra special because every single one of the races has like a qualifier of some sort. Like usually there might be one, maybe two that's like Golden Trail National Series or like sometimes the VK like is the qualifier for the US team. The 46K has been before, but this year we have the Ascent, which top four American men and women will be qualifying for a U.S. team spot. 46K, top two or top three U.S. men and women qualifying for a U.S. spot. And the 23K is a Golden Trail World Series event this year, which has
Yeah,
never happened. So it's a huge weekend.
it's a huge weekend. Every event is already special, and these special distinguishers are amplifying them even more. If this is your first time to Broken Arrow, just like as a quick rundown, the event technically starts on Thursday with things like bid pickups, expo, etc., and it goes all the way through Sunday. And with the ascent happening on Friday morning, actually, which previously they would start sometimes in the afternoon. So maybe that changed like a couple of years ago. So
I
it
feel
has,
like usually it's like 11 a.m., but if it's super windy, a couple of times they've had to like postpone
oh, that makes
starting.
sense.
Yeah,
But the race this year starts at 9:30 a.m.
that is
Um,
early.
yeah, it's pretty early.
Thank
Uh,
God
yeah,
for
I think that's
me.
great. I think that's great, especially people that are doubling. Like, it
Yeah,
almost makes it feel like a track meet. You're going at like 5 p.m. and then the next day. And the start line is the slope above Palisades Kids Building. If you haven't been to this event before, just look for the big like arch essentially and where people are starting to huddle together. But yeah, the VK this year looks to be the same course that it was last year. And, a fun aspect of Broken Arrow is because sometimes there's snow, sometimes there's not. It is a ski mountain end of June, so I guess it depends on the year. The course can change, but this is what we would kind of like. It's the course, right?
yeah. We haven't had a huge winter, of course, which is
Yeah.
pretty normal in the Sierras. But the website says that it's 3 miles with 3,000 feet of vert. But if you look into the Strava file, it's a little bit closer to 4 miles. It's like 3.9, 3.8 with 3,200 feet of vert. So if you are out on the course and you've hit 3 miles and you're like, where is the finish line? You have about a mile to go.
Yes. That's brutal, especially going uphill to realize that you have a whole nother mile to go. And
Yeah.
yeah, with almost 450 people lining up, like, yeah, definitely get ready.
And in terms of snow, this course should be completely clear this year. We'll talk in a different episode about the 46K and the 23K, which is not as lucky. It will not be as clear, but the VK should be perfect.
Yes, definitely, which is so, so nice. As far as course record goes, both of them were set last year. First was Patrick Kipgneno. He ran a freaking 36:21. Absolutely beasted it. Beat second place who was also eventual Western States winner Jim Walmsley by about a minute and a half. And then on the women's side, Joyce Nagiru won in 45:39.
And she also won by like almost a minute and a half.
Yes.
Almost
Well,
2 minutes.
yeah, they were both, I mean, having had been at the top of where the finish line was, they both finished and just like were smiling. And I was like, what the heck? Oh man.
And then they
Um,
both doubled back and won the 23K.
yes, yes.
Also smiling.
I think someone like asked Joyce, like, what effort level was that? And she's like, maybe a 5 or 6. And I was
I
like,
remember
what?
that.
Yeah,
I think it was like Dylan, or it
yeah.
was like a Freetrail interview afterwards. It's like, what? Oh my gosh. I think I looked it up and my PR on that course is like 52 minutes or something. So that's like 7 minutes slower than Joyce's. And I can tell you it was not a five. We were maxing out on that
It was
effort.
a 55.
Yes.
No,
Oh
I love it.
man.
Well, we will say we have had our eyes on these both of these entrance lists for probably a month at this point. There has been some change up, which we will definitely point out, largely due to the fact that Sunapee Scramble happened last 2 weekends ago,
Yeah.
which selected the short team, sorry, the classic team for Team USA. And so there was some shuffling of entrants who, if they made, it appears, if they made that team, they decided to drop out of the VK, which totally get. But yeah, before we dive into it, let's talk about Never Second, who's going to have a huge presence at this entire weekend.
Yeah, if you're doing a VK, you might think like, I don't need nutrition. It's only 4 miles. But this is like, as we've seen, minimum 36-minute effort. For the rest of us, probably closer to like an hour plus. So make sure that you guys are getting ready to fuel for that effort. It's probably going to be a little hot. You're going to want some water. You may not need as much sodium as like the other races that we've been talking about. If I were running the VK, oh wait, I am. I
Yeah.
would take probably, well, okay, not pregnant MK, would take one hand bottle with just a regular C90 packet, not my usual C30 times 3 scoops, because I don't feel like I would need the sodium as much, but I would still be trying to get like close to 90 grams for that effort.
Yeah, having had just come off of a pretty similar duration race, about 50 minutes or so. I had a flask with just one thing of C90 because to MK's point, it's like you're sweating, but by the time you're sweating, like it's not really affecting you. Um, but again, it depends on like how you're approaching the course. But yeah, if I were doing the VK, I would take a flask and put a couple scoops of C30 or C90. All of these products will be there for you to try if you go by the booth, but I believe for the aid stations, they're only offering the gels, which will be
Yeah.
available. Yeah. See?
Yep. So if you guys want to try, I mean, it's probably too late by the time you listen to order it for Broken Arrow. But if you don't get a chance to stop by the booth during Broken Arrow Week, TrailCon, all of that stuff, make sure you guys go to the website at never2.com and use our code SUBHUB25 to get 25% off of your order.
Yep. All right.
Should we refresh just like the qualifying real quick for
Yeah,
the US
definitely.
team? So the VK is similar to the classic mountain team, which happened, as Danny mentioned, a couple weeks ago at Sunapee Scramble. It is just top four American men and women qualifying for this team. There are no resume spots. It's just spots from this race, which is definitely looking to be pretty interesting on the men's side because there are a lot of international men in the field. Definitely still some in the women's field, but not quite as many. Um, and then there's usually like the fifth American is like considered an alternate, just in case somebody turns it down. But yeah, so just top four American men and women, pretty simple, nothing to it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun in that instance where you just get to see the team then and there. Not a lot of fluff. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. I guess we could dive into the names or the
Yeah,
players. Um,
let's start with the men.
so this is fun. This might be the most competitive VK the world will see this year. to be honest, on the men's side. We'll start with this guy. You guys probably haven't heard of him, to be honest, but his name is Kilian Jornet. And he is probably in my opinion, the undisputed GOAT. The only person who would be in the same breath of conversation is potentially Jim Walmsley, but to me, they're different types of GOATs. Kilian is the versatile GOAT.
Yeah.
Kilian, multiple time winner at Sierre Zinal, which is highly contested as the most competitive trail race as far as depth in the world. Multiple time and course record holder, multiple winner of Zagama, considered one of the most difficult, most technical sky marathon races in the world. Also happens to have the course record. He also has ascent records on Mont Blanc, the Matterhorn, all these peaks that were part of this project. I think it's called like Peaks of His Life or something like that. And he also was the first person to break 20 hours at another small race called UTMB. So that's just like scratching the surface with this man. Kilian Jornet, I dare to say, will potentially be the first person to ever capture the Broken Arrow VK Western States double. And if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what does. All right, this preview's done.
And mic drop.
Mic drop.
Yeah. I think that probably there's no way that anyone is like looking at Killian and underestimating him. I don't know how you could be like, oh, Killian's gonna get his butt kicked by these guys because obviously other athletes that we'll mention here in a second, like Philemon and Patrick and Joe Gray and Cam Smith, like they are very, very good at what they do. But
Yeah.
like Killian, I couldn't find for sure if he still holds it, but at some point he held the VK world record, like in recent years, in 2021. So the man is very good at pretty much everything, and VKs is one of those things.
Yeah, and Sierra starts with a double VK, and he's always like
Yes.
either leading or in second or third place, like with the leaders. Um, and yeah, I mean, just a callback, Jim Walmsley was second here last year, and that was like from what I've heard, like he was coming off of an injury. Like it's just, it's kind of crazy. If Killian, as it appears to be, is fully healthy and firing on all cylinders, he's gonna be really, really difficult to beat, which is super exciting.
Yeah. Just one other note on Killian's current fitness. Last week he did like an 80K training run, and then 3 days later he set a personal best on his local. It's not a VK. It's like, let's see, it's 1.2 miles with like 2,300 feet of gain. And he set a personal best on it of 1919, like training for Western States. And it's something he runs quite frequently. So,
The fact that he's PRing on that after having had cycles of training for Sierra Zinal, which is like
yeah.
uh what largely made that hill popular is he would do like these workouts where he goes up and down that and does like flat tempos. That's mind-boggling. Is there a Strava segment on that?
No, so that's the thing. Oh, there is, but it's a hidden effort, and I don't know why.
Interesting, because I'd be in like what is Petter Engdahl, Engdahl
So
run?
Petter's time, I did look, it was like 21 minutes. So it's like 2 minutes slower.
That's crazy.
And yeah,
And Petter is yeah, and
Petter's very good at VKs too.
yeah, he is a powerhouse of EKs. Yeah, so that's just a little taste of what we potentially will be getting here. So yeah, if you I'm like jumping, I was like, so if you want to watch the VK, I would definitely go and All right. Well, you know what? With that being said, Killian is showing up. Who better else to push him and show up than the only man that has ever pushed Killian to his limit in recent years? Philmon Umbogo Kiriago. Tell the folks, man.
Yeah, so Philemon has one series in all in like the 1 year that Killian wasn't there. And then last year they had an epic battle where we
Epic.
thought that Philemon was going to get him. It was Killian's 10th time going, yeah, running Sears and all. And Killian friggin' basically outleaned him, like
Yeah.
outran him in the last like 50 meters of the race for his 10th win. And yeah, I mean, Philemon on Bogo, not as much of a like a premier name in terms of like just uphills, especially when you think about his teammate Patrick, but he's no slouch. Like
He
it's
just
gonna
won
be
Noli against El Hussein.
yes, it's gonna be really exciting to see them battle it out alongside teammate Patrick Kipgneno, who was the Golden Trail World Series, or sorry, he was last year's champion at this race and at the 23K, and he is a two-time VK World Champion from 2022 in Thailand and 2023 in Austria.
Yeah, and he what's it called? Like you said, he beat Jim Walmsley last year. And if you guys were watched any clips of him, homie just like walked across the finish line. Um so yeah, this triplet is gonna be incredible to watch, but that's not to say that the next gentleman that we list will not be in the mix as well. But yeah, I would say these three, considering where Broken Arrow has been and has come to like what's it called? Attract these three men is really freaking cool. I would say only like immediately he comes to mind is like Remy Bonet. If Remy Bonet was in here, I'd be like, this is the best race VK I've ever seen. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Where are you, Remy?
He's
Why
in
did you not come to
23K,
this race?
which
I
I'm gonna
know.
point out in that preview because I mean, maybe he figured out that wasn't working because Mammoth Trail Fest, slight side tangent, he did the uphill and then he struggled a little bit. And then same
Yeah.
with Pikes Peak, he did the Manitou incline and then he struggled a little bit. So maybe he's like, you know what? I should just race the main race,
But
like
he
the main
did
Holden.
the year that he broke the Pikes Peak Ascent, I think he also broke his Manitou Incline record.
Bruh. Oh yeah, you're so right. So it does
Come
work.
on, Remy.
Oh my gosh. Make it fun.
Oh gosh. Okay, but we got to talk about other people too. Next on the list, Joseph Gray, American short trail running legend. He's a 29-time US champion, 9-time world champion. And did you say that this was the first time that he's run that we could find the VK?
Yes, he's never run the Broken Arrow VK. He's run plenty of VKs,
Yeah.
but never the Broken Arrow VK. So that's really, really freaking interesting. Joe, I mean, most recently, literally a few days ago, I saw him run the Peppies challenge at GoPro Mountain Games, which happens in Vail, Colorado, always roughly around the first or second week of June. And the Peppies challenge is essentially they run as many laps as they can for 30 minutes. And it's up what I would say is like a 15 to 20% grade. Women, it takes roughly like 3 minutes. So, guys, it's like probably 20 seconds faster than that. And then you go on a fast downhill. And the concept is if you start a lap before the horn goes off, you can finish the lap. Joe ran his fastest, it's hard to kind of explain the concept, but he ran as many laps as he has before, but he ran it the fastest he's ever done it. And Joe was literally like 2 steps away from passing the cone. So he was about to start what would have been like a significant course record at this race that he's done for years. And just watching Joe in person, like, he is going to show up for this. I'm really excited to watch.
Yeah, because I feel like we've almost had a bit of a Joe Gray hiatus, like since like Austria. But it feels like I mean, he won the Ascent last year at Pikes Peak.
Yep.
But I don't know, he just hasn't raced as frequently as he used to. He is 41 now, but I mean, as we know, that means nothing in this sport.
It means nothing. I mean, Kilian, how's Kilian?
I think Killian's 39, but I will check.
Yeah. I mean, Joe still won Loon Mountain last year, Bar Trail. Like,
Hmm.
it's, yeah, he's very impressive.
Killian's 37,
Okay. In a couple
but
years.
yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
Joe
Joe,
Gray's ready to go, it sounds
he's ready
like.
to go. He's ready to go. And honestly, you know what? Like, huge fan of Killian, Philemon, and Patrick, and everyone else we're about to name. If an American won this, I'd be like, fuck
Huge.
yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
sick on American soil. So yeah, big kudos to Joe. Next up, Cam Smith. Also just recently watched him at GoPro. He was second at Pepe's Challenge after placing, I think it was in the 10K. I need to double check. But he also just ran Sunapee and absolutely smashed it. So he is already on the US team for the Up Down Classic. And when we did a post race interview with him with Sunapee, he was saying he wasn't sure about downhill because he's been freaking doing skimo. But Cam Smith is a VK powerhouse. He won this race in 2022 to make the world's team that year in Thailand. Yeah. What
And
else
then
about
after
Cam?
that, like had a bunch of, freak accidents like ACL tears, shoulder stuff. So like he's on the comeback now and he like I would say Cam Smith is back after
Yeah.
watching him get fourth at Sunapee, which again in his post-race interview, he was also like I just don't know that like this is really my thing as much as the VK is. He said, I think I can help Team USA more in the
The
uphill.
VK. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see like what he does in this race because he obviously has more confidence behind this race than he did at Sunapee.
Totally. And he's also just a ray of sunshine.
Yes, yes.
Big old ray of sunshine.
Um,
Let's keep going. We're gonna dive into a couple more names. Remy LaRue, he is a Canadian powerhouse. He won the Cirque Series this past week on the East Coast. Had a little bit of a tough go at Sunapee Scramble, but this guy is just, he's a climbing beast. He won the Sunapee Scramble VK 2 years ago against like a pretty in-depth American field. And he's a very frequent on the Valsier World Mountain Running Cup. So, not a stranger to world-class composition competition, not a stranger to this course either.
yeah, and he's kind of been doing some longer stuff recently, which is I think long term going to benefit him. And I think this vertical K is probably, or this ascent is going to be kind of more up his alley than the up down. Because, yeah, he won Loon Mountain the last time we had championships there. So
Yeah,
it'll
and
be,
he was sixth place here last year, so still great climb. And I said tough coat Sunapee, but I just got confused because the results I was looking at was only the Americans. He was
yeah,
still ninth overall in a pretty deep
yeah,
race, so yeah, I think he's gonna crush this. Has he? That yeah, I guess the only time he's been at Broken Arrow was last year, and he did great.
yep. And then we've got Andy Wacker, kind of up there with Joe Gray in the amount of times that he has represented Team
Yeah.
USA. Like, was I don't know if I'm just remembering something random here, but I feel like I saw that he was a 17-time Team USA member,
I'm just gonna say
which
probably not
wouldn't
false.
surprise me because we just said that Joe was a 29-time US champion. So like,
That's
yeah, Andy
crazy.
Wacker's done a few US team tours, but he was the first person out on that Sunapee Scramble Classic USA team. And Andy Wacker had surgery back in 2023, has kind of spent the last 2 years just like coming back from that, getting super fast. We talked about him before Sunapee Scramble. He's been doing crazy shit on the roads. And I feel like an uphill race because I talked to him a little bit afterwards and he felt like he wasn't quite prepared for the up down aspect. But all uphill, like Andy Wacker's got the speed. I think he's up in that mix for like top, 5, 6.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know what else to say. Andy is awesome, and having just missed it at Sunapee, it'd be really cool to see him get on this U.S. team.
Yeah. Lucas Earl, an athlete from Germany, right? Is
Yeah,
that
from
Germany?
Germany. He's
Yeah.
a young gun. He's part of that like next gen. He won YCC, and then last year he won ETC, which
Which
are
are the
kind of the
short distance races at UTMB.
yeah, like the young kids short distances. They definitely have been picking up in the last couple years, which if I were a brand, I'd be keeping an eye on the kids that are winning that. They're not kids, they're young adults, but you know what I mean.
To Danny and I, they're kids.
And then yeah, homie, he jumped in a track race 2 weeks ago and ran 28:40 in the 10,000, which, that wouldn't place you in the top 50 in Division 1 right now, collegiately, but like if you're on the trails and you're just jumping and doing that, that's pretty wicked fast.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
still sub 29, which is crazy.
yeah, it's crazy that sub 29 won't get you top 50 now. When I was in college, if you broke 29, you were the bee's knees.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like you were top 10. It was
We didn't
crazy.
have super shoes, that's what we'll say.
That yeah, yeah, super shoes.
But
Yeah,
also he
one to
was
watch.
second at European Up Down Championships last year.
Yes,
So the dude knows what he's doing on the trails.
100%. Uh,
Um, Fan favorite, at least pod favorite, David Sinclair. If you guys haven't listened to our episode with David from earlier this Actually, I was gonna say earlier this spring, but it was basically winter still, I think. David Sinclair, very versatile guy. He has been second in this ascent before, back in 2021 to Darren Thomas. He's also been 12th twice. But last year he ran the 46K and won it, and he's likely the only person to ever not positive split that race.
Yeah. And I feel like if he's choosing to enter, that means, I don't know, it could just be a tune-up like it was last year. But he didn't run Sunapee that he was
Yeah,
scheduled to run. So I'm like, David, what are you doing? Are you interested in the uphill? Are you interested in the short trail? Maybe you're interested in both. So pretty cool combo. Yeah, I would not
I
be surprised if David just takes it out and finishes from the get-go, or if he's just using it as kind of like last push the stuff out of the legs before the 46K because it worked really well last year.
yeah, I see him making at least one of the teams that he's trying to make
Oh
this
yeah,
weekend.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would bet my house on that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Um, and then last but not least, just more of these more in-depth descriptions of athletes. Henry Amond, coming in from Italy. He won the Trans Gran Canaria VK this year, was second place to Patrick in the Valsier uphill final end of last year, and he was fifth in the 23K 2 years ago. So he knows what to expect. He's been here before, and just another great example of an incredibly global field. Because again, top four Americans, and yeah, it's like, will an American get on the podium? Is like it's a pretty cool qualification race because it also, while it's a good course itself, it shows you in the moment competing against global talent, which I think is an incredible asset for a great Team USA.
Yeah, I agree. Some other American names on this list that we'll just give a quick shout out to. We've got Tyler McCandless, who was first in the 10K at GoPro last week. Christian Allen, who was fourth here last year, but is coming off of a stress fracture. Didn't look that great at Sunapee, so we'll just have to see kind of where he's at. Ryan Becker, eighth here last year. Liam Mayrow was just second at GoPro 10K. Darren Thomas won this ascent back in 2021. Chris Myers and Ryan Montgomery, two Western States athletes running in the VK just like Jim did last year and just like Kilian is doing this year. And like two guys, Dani mentioned this kind of earlier that like dropped out because they did already qualify for the Classic Up Down. Are Mason Copey and Taylor Stack. A little bummed that they're not doubling back for this just for the entertainment of it, but stoked for those guys to be already on the team.
Yeah, super smart. Anything else before we get to the women?
Do we want to do we want to do podium picks?
Oh man, this is hard. You can go ahead.
Damn. Um, I just can't decide who's third. I'm gonna go Joe Gray in third, Patrick in second, and Killian in first.
Okay. I'm gonna go Kilian Joe Patrick. So I'm just gonna switch them up.
So
Killian
Killian in
Killian
third.
win.
Oh,
Yeah. And then Joe in second. I
okay.
think I don't when I saw Joe, like because I've seen him over the years, like
Yeah,
I think he's primed right now.
love it.
It's hard to ignore Killian freaking PBing though on something he's run for years.
Yeah.
Like that's disgusting. After an 80K, like that's vomit in my mouth. Um, but that's kind of crazy. So if Joe makes it, it's like some combo of potentially like Cam Smith, I think very strong contender,
Andy
Andy,
Wacker.
David Sinclair, and then you just have this plethora of the folks you just named, like Tyler, Christian, Liam Miro, because like I will point out something like Tyler was in that lead pack at Sunapee, and I know he comes from the road, so I feel like this might be, you know,
Better for him, yeah.
yeah. Um, So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm very excited for this race. I will be at the top, folks, for this.
I will be probably a quarter of the way up by the time the men finish.
Yeah, I will dare to say if someone beats Killian, which is possible, like take note. Like that person firing for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Let's hop on over to the women's field.
Well, first and foremost, by far the favorite, MK Sullivan jumping
Yeah,
in.
I'm gonna win the whole damn thing.
Yes.
Watch out. I've taken the belly band off. I'm done with it. So I'm not even that hot anymore. Uh, which, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I am actually very wrecked from my half marathon, so I'm just trying to coast into this Broken Arrow VK, but I will be having fun.
Good. I'm glad. All right. We'll start again. First up, Joyce Naguru, Muthoni Naguru, winner here last year. Again, we'll requote. Pretty sure she said it was a 5 or 6 effort, which was wild.
Give us a 10 this
Give us
time.
a 10. Give us a 10. Um, Little rougher start in Golden Trail. Like, when you bring perspective to it, really not that rough. It's just like she just hasn't found that same stride she was in last year. Um, and then after this race, though, last year, she went on a freaking tear. So I hope that comes back to her this year. Yeah, now representing normal. So potentially two normal champions, which would be, this is the brand. I'm not calling them normal. Um, and he's a current course record holder. I don't know what there
Yes.
else is much to say.
No, I mean, I think kind of like we were talking about with Killian last, or just with the men, like I think Joyce is probably a hands down kind of favorite. Like, if somebody upsets her, it's a big day. But we still have a lot of other people on this list that are going to do very well. But I do think that Joyce is like obviously the one to beat, and I just don't see anybody doing it, but we'll see.
Yep.
Next on the list, we've got Anna Gibson, who was second to Joyce last year. She just recently won her first US championship at Sunapee Scramble a week after racing her first mountain marathon at Zagama and finishing 11th there. So she's had a bit of like a go, go, go because Zagama was the weekend of Memorial Day weekend. Sunapee was the week after at June 1st. She's got like 19 days, which is still pretty good, actually, like recovery to come back and run this. And then I believe she's also running the 23K, right?
Yep, she's in the 23K. And MK and I reviewed it, and Anna has been second here 2 times, one of which she did another incredible double where she was second here and then made the trials final in the 1500 for the Olympic trials just last year, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, Anna is someone that I would 100% not be surprised if she won this and could apply pressure to Joyce. Because Anna's on a freaking heater right now. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think a key element of her win at Sunapee was how well she climbed the second lap.
Yeah. And I felt that that performance at Sunapee was like a bit of like a breakthrough performance for her. Like Anna was obviously like one of the top Americans
Yeah.
going in, but that
That was
surprised
a
me.
that was a really incredible performance. I agree. Like that's
Yeah.
a top of the resume result. So yeah, we'll see. Anna might just run under 45 minutes and it wouldn't be
That'd be
surprising.
sick.
Be sick. Uh,
Um,
Next up, Allie McLaughlin, the
she,
Rocket.
yeah, she is seemingly on her way back, and I'm stoked. But even saying that, she was third here last year at the Ascent.
Yes. And at Sunapee, if the race ended after the first uphill, she was the runaway winner. Not runaway, but she was leading very fiercely and very strong.
Yeah,
Um, and
she knows this
Allie,
course.
she knows this course. The girl can run uphill in her sleep very fast and very hard. She recently, what's interesting with Anna and Allie is they did just make the USA teams for the classic up down, and they are choosing to run it back, which is really exciting. Um, and yeah, Allie's been a world champion at the VK in
Yeah,
Thailand 2 years ago, I believe it was
2022.
22. Holy
Yeah,
cow, time flies. 3 years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
But she's won this race twice. She was third here last year. Ally Mack is not someone to take lightly in this field at all.
No, definitely.
I hope she jumps off the top, just for fun.
Yes.
Since we're just going up, for this race, I hope she's got her base jumping stuff ready to go. Or not, no, this wouldn't be base jumping. This would be paragliding, I think. I'm not a jumper, guys. I'm sorry. Um, Canadian, first Canadian on our list on the women's side, Jade Belsberg, who had a standout performance in the 23K here last year, finishing second to Joyce. But she also ran the VK 2 days before that and finished ninth. Jade, I believe, is actually a dual citizen for Canada and the US, but she already has made the Canadian team and I believe chooses to compete for Canada.
Yeah, she already made that team. She's been on a tear this year also already, right? She won Chuckanut. Um,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure she just did 100K. She was second at the Gorge 100K.
Yeah.
But she didn't, it was a Team USA qualifier, so like she's left out of results from certain perspectives because they picked the top USA runners. But she was
Yep.
second at the 100K. And yeah, I'm fairly sure it's not coming up on her UTMB profile that she won Chuckanut earlier this year.
She did win Chuckanut, and then she just won the Tillamook Burn 50 miler on May 10th as well. So,
Talk about versatility. Holy
and now
cow.
she's doing like a little wicka wicka switch back to short trail.
What the- Yeah, so Jade definitely one to watch. Next up, I love this. Jessica Brazo is in the VK. She's also in the 46K, which tells me girl is trying to make a USA team, which is freaking sick. Um, let's see, she was fifth at last year's VK, which was a very good VK. I remember seeing her come up and it's like, heck yeah,
Holy shit.
Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl, Jessica can climb. And I don't know what else to say. She's been on a couple UTMB podiums, qualifying for OCC and stuff like that. But based on her training in Strava, I think she's gonna be up there.
Yeah. And I talk about this a bit in the 46K preview, but Jim Walmsley is no longer racing Western States, and therefore Jess has the entire weekend just to herself. She doesn't have to stress about what's coming next weekend.
Yeah,
Like, and she's, like you said, she's been training hard. So it is like, it is her weekend to shine and like just, I'm ready to see her pop off
yeah,
in
me
both of
too.
these races.
Yeah, she's the only one I know of doing that double, right? On the women's side?
I
Because
think
I
on the
know
women's
David
side,
is.
yeah. I mean, outside of the Triple Crown.
Yeah,
But
I would love to see her have a day both days. That'd be
yeah.
sick. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mention that Jess and Jim are married. That's why I mentioned Jim in that.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
she
yeah.
is like she's his crew chief and she is very good at it.
Yes,
But she's also very stressed about it a lot of times. And so yeah, now it's gone. It's just
it's gone.
her.
Just her. That's really cool. Next up, Ali Ostrander. If you don't watch her YouTube series, highly recommend. I watched her post Sunapee scramble video and had a bit of a vulnerable moment. Like she was bummed. Like she knew the odds weren't in her favor, like coming off of injury, but I think once it hit her that like she didn't make the team, it got a little bit hard. So I can only imagine she's coming in with a lot of fire to try and make the team, especially because it seems that her really good homie Lauren Gregory is on the team now. I'm sure she wants to join that with her.
Yeah, I could also see this being a better race for her because she has been injured. It's just uphill. There's not the aspect of the up down, which is hard for anyone when you're fit, but like is definitely hard coming off of an injury.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And living in Boulder, having access to similar terrain and stuff like that. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Next up, another. It's like you want everyone to make the team, but there's only so many spots. Rachel Tomajic, she's made two previous US teams, also didn't qualify at Sunapee, running it back. We love
Which
that.
was honestly like I think a big surprise to both of us. I think both of us had her in our post pod chat like in our top four.
Yeah,
So I was pretty surprised by that. I hope she's feeling okay about it. It moved on,
yeah,
nice little break, and we're going for that third US team. Because I
Agree.
believe she was on both the VK and the classic team in Austria, and I think she was on both in
Thailand.
Thailand too.
I'm
She
pretty
was
sure
on at
too.
least one in Thailand.
Yeah, I think so too, as well.
So,
And she
yeah.
was sixth here last year behind Jess, so kind of a fun rematch between that fifth and sixth place as well.
Yeah. Next up, we have Camilla Magliano, who was seventh last year at OCC, gave Dani a little boost to get her down that final hill with a broken foot, but it's still a crazy day. She's won a lot of these ascent type races over in Europe, and she is already on the Italian team for Worlds, which is pretty cool as well.
Yeah, we love to see just more global runners coming over to the US, having a taste of our atmosphere and environment, etc. Um, I think she's one to watch. Like Europeans who have run in that Valsier Mountain Running Series a lot and have just participated in VKs, like they know how to hit that line so much faster because they're just like they have more access to VKs. We actually don't have a lot of VKs here in the US. So I find at least for most Americans, it's hard to find like, can I sustain this? Can I not?
Yeah.
Um, so if I was an American, if Camila takes off, I would just go with her because she knows what that spot, that sweet spot is. Um, and if she's way behind, maybe just, trust your gut. But I feel like
Yeah.
I think she would be an incredible person to key off, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's like Broken Arrow, Ascent, Loon Mountain,
The rut.
Ascent, the Rut.
Yeah, that's the thing is we don't have a lot of standalone VKs.
No,
Um, and the
we don't even
Europe
have,
does.
yeah,
Europe will just have a VK race. We don't have that.
there could be more. We could do better at
We
this.
can do better. A sub hub VK challenge over here in the
Oh. Next up, another international athlete, super cool to see. Alice Goodall from Edinburgh, Great Britain. She ran 32:08 in January for a 10K, which is a lot
so
speedier than I
slow.
can run for a
I
10K.
bet I could do that for 2 miles right now.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
I can do more.
she represented Great Britain at Worlds in 2023 and has actually been on their cross country team as well, multiple times. So I don't really know exactly what her background is in terms of like VK stuff, but we've talked about this a million times on this podcast. Being fast is really good for running uphill.
Yeah, definitely. That's eventually why I like put her. It's like she has just a little bit of trail experience, has a lot of global experience on the cross country stage, which as we know is a lot bigger in other parts of the world. But yeah, that 32, that's like roughly 5:08 pace for a 10K. I think that will translate really well over. And if there was an American rolling in with a 32-minute-ish 10K, we would be highlighting them. So I feel like,
We
yeah,
would be
she
frothing
deserves,
at the
we'd
mouth.
be
Yeah.
frothing. So she deserves this spotlight. That is 5:08 pace for roughly 6 miles is quite fast.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to run through these
Yeah.
additional Americans real quick before we give a women's podium?
So just a couple other names. Annie Dube, Laura Hamilton, both were at the GoPro Games this past weekend. She was also fourth in the VK in 2023 and has an OCR background. We also have Casey Edmond, who was sixth at Sunapee, so also just missed making the team. Has been multiple Team USA member, has been a world champion in the past, and getting sixth against that field is just so, so good.
And
Uh,
let's just remember real quick. So all of those women, I think Allie Mack is 34 or 33, and she was third place. But the rest of those women
they're like
are
hitting
like
20s.
under the age of like 28 or 27 even. Casey Edmond is 45. She's freaking crushing it. And
Wow.
I would just like, do not count her out for your top
Yeah.
five.
40, she's 45.
Yes.
Holy cow. How old is Ida again?
43, I think.
Gosh, freaking
43 or
crushers.
44. I know.
Yeah, that's
Women
so
rock,
good.
man.
Women rock. Women rock.
Yes.
Another name, Janelle Lynx. Linux? Linux?
Links.
Lynx. She's won Broken Arrow before. She is entered in both the VK and 23K, but a little birdie told us she may just be focusing on the VK, which tells me she's keen on making a USA team. Um, if she's on the line, take note. She's just she can go there in her mind
Yeah.
and her body. Laurel Moyer just won a circuit series last week, race on the East Coast. Good on technical terrain. Emily Clark, second at Way Too Cool earlier this year. And then just big shout out to Brittany Charbonneau. She's a new mom and she's jumping in races and just another great example just to like jump in, even if you don't feel ready. So, yeah, I guess
Short
one
trail's where it's at,
short show's where
especially
it's
for a
at.
comeback.
One last name is Giselle Slotboom. She's represented, what country has she represented? She's been to the World Championship a handful of times. And she's also always on the podium for Cirque Series races. What
Hmm.
country is it? It's bothering me. Oh, the
Um,
Netherlands. That's what it is.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Lives in Utah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beats for the Netherlands. All right. So I'm sure there's always going to be somebody that surprises us out there, but these are kind of the women that we wanted to highlight going into this VK. We should probably do a podium. We did say I'm going to win, so
Yes.
everybody below me.
MK's in her own category. She's that good.
Uh, I went first last time, so I'm gonna make you go first this time.
Taking it in. All right. I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna go Anna Gibson first place, Joyce second, and Ally Mack third.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay.
And
And
then,
the team,
yeah,
oh
I
shoot.
think my team is probably Anna, Allie, Mac, Jess Brazo, and then it's either Allie O or Rachel Tomashik, but I don't know which one.
I feel the same. I feel the same. Yeah, because Jade, she's Canadian. Because she's the other
Yep,
one that's like in my mix, just briefly looking at this. Um, but yeah,
but she's already on the Canadian team.
Annie, Annie, Anna and Allie, I feel like would have to really mess up to lose spots,
Yeah,
which I just don't see them doing. And Jess, I feel really strongly like she's gonna make this team, which would be super sick.
it'd be even crazier if she made both teams.
It's not out. It's
It's
not.
not out of the
They're not
realm of
out of the.
possibility.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Allie, and Rachel Tomaszek. It's interesting because they're both coming in a similar vein,
Yeah, they
having
both
to
have a
miss
little
it.
bit of a chip on their shoulder,
Yeah,
so it'll be a good race.
yeah. This is gonna be fun. All right, folks, that's the VK. Again, this is the first day. The event, Broken Arrow, technically starts on Thursday, but this is the first day of racing. If you haven't already and the episodes are already out, please, please, please go listen to EmKay and Rachel dive into the 46K, and then also EmKay and I diving into the 23K. If this is your first time at the event, like you're in for something special. This is so cool having this kick off the doubleheader of Broken Arrow Western States. And do not forget to check out Never Second. They will be out on the course. They will have a booth. Bill, the CEO, will be there in the flesh and blood. And if you want to order more stuff after the event, don't forget to use our code SUBHUB25 at never2.com.
Yes, and this has been the SubHub podcast, and I will see you out on the VK, and Danny will see you maybe at the top of the VK.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye,
Talk
guys.
soon. Bye.